Welcome to the Dynamics of Everyday Life, where we demystify some tricky concepts and get to know ourselves a little bit better. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today's title comes from one of my favourite groups of all time, Depeche Mode. Absolutely love them. And this song popped back into my mind recently after a couple of conversations with my closest friends, both of whom are involved in organisations with committees and boards. I'm not going to say what these are, confidentiality and all that. And also, I don't really need to, because there were pretty similar dynamics playing out in both of them. It really doesn't matter who they are or what the organisations are, as, guess what? It turns out that these things happen all over the place. You know, I bet you've been in the situation where you think, oh, for heaven's sake, surely grown adults can behave themselves. Well, apparently not. In both of these organisations, what's happening is pretty close to full-scale emotional warfare over committee politics. Now, both of my friends are well-meaning, intelligent and extremely kind people, surrounded by equally well-meaning, intelligent and kind people. But there's something about adults organising themselves around let's face it, it's supposed to be a fun activity, and it can bring out the worst in people. I'd also like to point out here that I'm an extremely loyal friend, and in both these situations, I do know for a fact that my friends were absolutely in the right. And it got me thinking, why do sensible, competent adults completely lose perspective the minute that there's a committee involved? Well, it's because, and here's the uncomfortable truth, we stop being adults. I bet you've been in a similar position and you felt that you'd moved back to the playground. There are all kinds of dynamics playing out here. We've got defence mechanisms galore, and there's also a bit of transference that gets thrown into the mix too, for good measure. When we join a group, part of us unconsciously steps back in time. We start relating not just to the people in front of us, but to all the people that they remind us of. So, hello transference. Suddenly, the chairperson isn't just a chairperson. They're dad, holding the power. The outspoken one becomes a big sister who always got her way. That's not me at all, if my brother's listening. The quiet one who never speaks. Maybe the child who learned early on that silence was safer. We're not aware of it, of course. It just feels like irritation or unfairness or that weird sense of being 10 years old again and wanting to shout, it's just not fair. And this is where our lovely defence mechanisms kick in. We've got projection, splitting, projective identification, ticking all the boxes on those defence mechanism bingo cards. We've got projection. It's not me being controlling, it's you. Splitting. They're the bad guys, we are the reasonable ones. And projective identification. Fine, I'll play the bad guy if that's what you need me to be. Every committee I've ever seen has its own family script. And before you know it, everyone is cast in a role. The parent, the rebel, the peacekeeper, the child. My dad has the most brilliantly un-PC comment that I'm reminded of here. I certainly won't be saying it on the show, as I have no wish to be cancelled. But if we've ever had a conversation, chances are that you know what it is, and it really makes me think of it here. There's also a lot of the fun of the group dynamics. Who are we in a group situation? Who do we look to? What role do we take up? And what role do we assign to other people? And also, let's face it, it's never about the issue that's being discussed. The issue, the event, the budget, the new logo, that's just the stage. What's really happening is everyone is unconsciously trying to work out something from their past. They're trying to rework something that happened before. It's the same thing that you see in workplaces, by the way. Teams at work are just committees with better stationery. And families, well, they're the original committee. Do not even get me started on group chats. Freud would have had a field day with WhatsApp. One of the plus points about my son getting COVID during the last week of year 6, so that was his final week in junior school, was it gave me the most perfect reason to leave the parents' WhatsApp chat before the end of term. Well, we also think we're being rational, but the unconscious doesn't do rational. and I don't think my passing message in the WhatsApp chat was rational in the slightest. But I was an incensed mother whose child was unwell at a very scary time. So it kind of makes sense why I possibly wasn't behaving as my best self at this moment. The unconscious does do familiar, however, so we repeat what we know, even if what we know is slightly dysfunctional. Because, as Depeche Mode so helpfully put it, people are people. Now, psychodynamically speaking, there's a way to stay sane in all of this, and this is by moving from participant to observer. It's that little part of you, the third, as it can be known, that can hover above the chaos and say, I see what's happening here. Now, the third, I know I've not talked about this before, it's a concept discussed by Jessica Benjamin, who is a current psychotherapist, and I'm learning more about her at the moment. Absolutely fascinating, so I am sure that I will come back to her in future episodes. So instead of joining the drama triangle, I'll fix it, I'll fight it, I'll flee from it, you pause. You notice which role you're in. Aha, I'm being the peacekeeper again. And then you can ask yourself, what is this really about? And that's what I'm meaning when I say name the pattern, not the person. Because once you can see the dynamic, you've got choices again. You're not just reacting, you're responding. Now, I'd love to tell you that I've always been the wise observer. But I've been in these rooms too. You know, the ones where everyone's being civil, but you could cut the tension with a blunt spoon. And yes, I've sulked. I've over-explained. I've played the reasonable one while silently judging everyone else. We all do it. That's the point. We're human. And the aim isn't to stop the dynamics. It's to see them, to realise, aha, this is what's playing out, instead of just thinking, why is everyone being so impossible? My invitation to you this week is to consider where in your life you have been drawn into committee dynamics. Were you leading the charge, or were you being dragged into conversations that you really didn't want to be part of? Remember, it's not personal, it's psychodynamic. The unconscious loves a group because it gives it so much material to work with. The best place for us to be? Well, that's working out what's going on for ourselves. To notice the pull, to remember that everyone, even the ones that are difficult, are just people trying to get their old needs met in new ways. And, as always, give yourself some grace. These dynamics are well-worn patterns within all of us, and it can be tricky to realise that instead of being ourselves in a group, we've actually become someone else instead. If you can't wait for my next podcast, there's my weekly LinkedIn Live sessions. I'm doing these most Monday afternoons at 2:30pm, so do come and join the fun in those. Unless, of course, it's a bank holiday, then I'll have my feet up and I'll be watching a James Bond film. A couple of other things before we close. My course, Essential Psychodynamics for Coaches, starts again in January. The first 2 rounds have been fantastic. Fabulous groups of coaches with lots of learning and discussions. There's already people joining up now, so if you don't want to miss out, come and join the incredible coaches already signed up for some psychodynamic fun. Send me a DM or an email and we can have a chat. If you're interested but not sure what it might involve, I'm doing a webinar on LinkedIn on Wednesday the 5th of November where I'm going to be talking about the Essentials course and answering any questions that people might have. So do come along to that. The link for that is on my LinkedIn profile page. And as we always close, looking at ourselves at this level can be challenging and unnerving as we develop our awareness, so I'd always encourage that you do this at your own speed. To have a chat about psychodynamics and find out more about the different ways that you can work with me, either as a trainer, coach, supervisor or mentor, then click on the link that's in the show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dynamics of Everyday Life. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As well as producing this podcast, The Dynamics of Everyday Life has lots more psychodynamic fun going on, and you can find out more at dynamicsofeveryday.life.